So today's topic under this subject, FMGT 6252, we have this special financing. Okay, so we have this special financing. Today's discussion under this topic, special financing, you will learn and discover more things about risk financing, about venture capital, about factoring, foreign direct investment, merchant banking, and mutual funds. Okay, let's first define what is special financing. When we say special financing, it is about loan, a loan that is risky. And normally, because it is risk, we know that the higher the risk, the greater the interest, the profit. So, the returns to the lender are great enough to cover the risk under special financing. And it carries a higher interest rate. Okay, let's first talk about the lease financing. Lease financing as part of special financing. When we say lease financing, it is a contractual arrangement between two parties. The party owning an assets provide the asset. Okay, when we say lease financing class, there are contractual arrangement. Okay, one of the parties, the party owning an asset that provides the asset for use to another. And the right to use of the asset must be on certain period of time. As I have said, there is contractual arrangement between parties, and the parties involved here are the lessor and the lessee. When we say lessor, he is the owner of the asset. And when we say lessee, is the one using the asset. He's not the owner, but it's the one using the asset. Okay. I have here, class, an example of a lease financing. Okay. Actually, if you are not even engaged in a business, as an individual, you can avail of lease financing. Okay. But let's just use for a company. Okay. For example, the company, okay, this is the lessor, okay? The company, and that needs money to finance the transportation vehicle that he'd be needing to his business, okay? He will use this vehicle to get money from the lessor, okay? So there we have both of them will make a lease agreement, okay? So sasabihin ni lessor, okay, I will give you such amount, the total amount of this vehicle, and that vehicle will be paid in a certain period of time, and at the same time, the lessee will use that vehicle now. Okay, even it's not yet fully paid by the lessee can use it now. Okay, but with the agreement that the lessee will pay a minimum amount to the lessor. Okay, For example, class, the lessee, okay, for 3 months, paying the amortization that he borrowed from the lessor, okay, 3 months in default. Okay. The lessor has the right to get the property to the lessee. And it is easier for him to get the property because in the first place, the property is registered under the name of the lessor. So no problem in getting the item because it's really in the name of the lessor. Okay. Is that really happening in a business? Yes. Okay. Normally they have the bank as the one financing. But there are also financing companies, not only bank. Please take note on that. There are also other financing companies that grant financial aid to their customer. But compared to the bank and other financial company, as to the interest, the financing company has more higher interest rate than the bank, but lesser requirements. So that is the lease financing. Another special financing is the venture capital. When we say venture capital, the money was provided by investors to start up the firm. And usually it is paid in a long term form. Again, there is a high risk on this, but strong potential of high profitability. Okay. Let's have a picture of a venture capital. Okay. Here in the venture capital, as I have said, the investors is the one providing the startup capital. For example, class, Michelle, all of you, okay, Rosemary, Dawn, Erica, and Michelle form a business, but you don't have a capital. Okay, so you will, for example, I'll be the one you will ask to be your partner as capitalist. So I'll be the one providing you the startup capital. Okay, so why will I do that? Because you submitted to me a feasibility that is really profitable. Of course, I myself, on my part, will do my research. Okay, and then as you have seen here, class, when we say venture capital, there is fund, there is firm, because sometimes it's not only individual that form that business. There are firms that group together to form another business. And the risks are there, the capital, and the money that should be raised, and that the business, what business that you are going to form. Okay, and of course, the growth, the capital, the equity, and the returns. Okay, so that is venture capital. So if you really have that mind, that you have that thinking that you wanted to form a business, but you don't have the capital, and you think that your business really feasible and really profitable in the current situation of the economy, then you can proceed to that, provided you can get somebody who will give you the startup capital. And that is one of the special financing under venture capital. Another involved in special financing is what we call a factoring. Okay? It's different from MAP. factoring, okay? In financial management, we also have that factoring. How it is? Under factoring, there is a selling of accounts receivable at a discounted price to a third party. Okay? And of course, the one who received the accounts receivable that was offered by the company to be discounted, first, he must research the worthiness of the debtor. And the risks are taken by the factor which purchase these credit receivables without recourse and collects them when due. Okay, class. I have here a picture of how is this factoring. Okay. For example, class, this company is engaged in an export company and in an export industry. Okay. So the company is receiving payments through in the US dollar. Okay. And there will be some usually this is a as I know the normal scenario in the business is that the bank is the one giving the discounted or offer a discounted account receivable to the company. Okay, so for example, this company has an account receivable collection from Japan. Okay. For example, Mizuno company from Japan. Okay, in the amount of $200,000. Okay, so meron siyang collection from Mizuno company, but that is dated sometime in in a near future period of time. Okay, but the company at that time is needing cash. So what will be the remedy of the company is to offer the accounts receivable collection to the company in order the company can get the cash that he is needing at the current time. Okay, so what will be the gain of the company, the one factoring? Okay, the gain is that, for example, this is 200,000 US dollar. Okay, this company will only receive not 200,000 from the factor. Okay, you will receive lesser. Okay, this is an example of this. Okay, so as I have said, there is a 200,000 invoice to be collected from Japan. Okay, that is worth 200,000 US dollar. Okay, but the due date of that invoice is October 21, 2020. For example, we're still in October. Okay. Then, okay, for example, we are in October 10. Okay, October 10. Okay, your invoice is October 21 to be collected in October 21, and you have, the company knows that you have a big amount of disbursement coming October 14. So you don't have money on October 14 because your due date is October 21. So what will you do is to offer this invoice to the factor company, usually at the bank, as I have said, and then with a discounted amount of 2%. So, with a 200,000 collection, the company will receive only $196,000. Okay, come October 21, the company, the bank, can now collect the whole 200,000 from the Mizuno Japan. So the earning, the income that the bank got from the company is worth 4,000 US dollars. So malaki yun, di ba? So, when you convert that in peso, that's a big amount of money. Okay? So that is a kind of factoring. Okay? Is that factoring is happening even in individual people or small business? Yes. Okay? There are individuals who has money, who have this excess money that they engage in check discounting. It's the same with check discounting, okay? For example, A, okay, will make a post-dated check. We prepare a post-dated check in the amount of 10,000, okay? Meaning post-dated check dated not at the current time. For example, we are now in November 9, okay? So, for example, I need money, okay? So, I will issue a post-dated check dated November 29, okay? Then I will, in the amount of 10,000, okay? That post-dated check is dated November 29, with the amount of 10,000, then I will offer this check to Michelle. Okay, so Michelle will give me, for example, less than the 10,000 now. Okay, so kung 5%, okay, that is 500. So 9,500, Michelle will give me 9,500. Come November 29, Michelle can encash my check in the amount of 10,000. Okay, so that is the factoring, sample of factoring, that even in individual, okay, mga small business, they do that. But more on the big or multinational company or even the large corporation, they do that factoring, especially in export company business. Okay. Another foreign investment, foreign direct investment under special financing. When we say foreign direct investment, it's investment made by company from the country into a company from another country. Okay, so we have, when we say foreign, okay, that is, we are in the Philippines. So we have the partners that are not in the Philippines. They are outside the Philippines. We have the overseas institution invest in equities on the National Stock Exchange. So the common scenario there is that the company here in the Philippines is listed. Okay? And then because they are listed here, the foreigners, meaning outside the Philippines, can buy stocks in our stock exchange. And because of that, they have that stocks, they are now the owners, party owners of that corporation. Okay. What are other things that we can get from foreign direct investment? Okay. When we are engaged in foreign direct investment, the receiving firm, okay, can be provided by new technologies. So we, the Philippines, if we are engaged in that, we can receive, aside from investment, we can receive new technologies. We can also receive products that are not yet in the Philippines. Okay? And you will be the one who will introduce that to here in a country. And then, of course, they also provide the organizational management technologies. Okay. In a foreign direct investment, it is not always the good things that must be considered. Okay, here in my screen, I provided the pros and cons of foreign direct investment. Okay, okay, some of the pros are the diversifies investors portfolio, promote stable long-term lending, provides financing to developing countries, provide technology to developing countries. Okay, these are really true. Okay, when we have these foreign direct investment, we can gain from them. Okay, but there are also cons. Okay, when some are that not suitable for strategically important industries. Okay, class, for example, class like what have you heard about the issue of the foreign investing money in a media company? Okay, like the one we have the I forgot the company. Okay, that is owned by Resa. Okay, the issue there is that when it is a special corporation like media, the foreigners are not allowed to engage business on that when it is in media. But if it's not media, an ordinary corporation, the foreigners are allowed to invest here in the Philippines. But as I know, there must be a limitations on their capital contribution. At least when the corporation is owned by foreigners and local, okay, the foreigners can only hold ownership up to 40%, while the Filipino ownership will be 60%. Another con is that investor may have less moral attachment, of course, because of course they are not in their country, they are foreigner in this country, so there is issue on the moral attachment. And of course, there is an ethical access to local markets. Okay? So those are the pros and cons under foreign direct investment.
Okay. Siguro ako early next week.
So another special financing is the merchant banking. Okay. Plus, when we say merchant banking, it's not like the banking that we know, like BDO, Metrobank, that we accept that we have this transaction, deposit, withdrawal, it's different. Okay. So merchant banking is underwriting, or they guarantee payment in case of damage or financial loss. They also provide consultancy and other allied services. I'll show you a picture of these merchant bank services. Okay. In a merchant bank services, as I have said, it's different from the bank that you know. Okay, it's different from the BPO, Metrobank, BPI, that they accept deposits and withdrawal. Okay, they accept other kind of like checking accounts. Different on that. Okay, in the merchant bank, they call banking, of course, quasi banking, because they also have this loan. They provide loan also. Okay, as I have said, they provide counseling. So if you will get money or you will make a loan from a merchant bank, okay, the merchant bank that you loan money has the power, okay, to provide counseling, because that is their money, that is their, okay, because you borrowed their money, so they have that pakialam, okay, okay, so they will attend to the operation of your business. Okay? So they will give counsel, okay? Or for example, or don't allow that 90 days credit term. Okay, that is dangerous. Okay, you shorten your credit terms to 30 days. No more 45 days credit term. Okay, they can't provide that because you borrowed money from them. And also loan syndication. Okay, in a merchant bank, okay, they provide this. How is it? How it is? Okay, for example, a company wanted the money, and then that merchant bank has this company, also their client, B company is also their client. So merchant bank can be the one who arrange loan from B company to be granted, to be uh, to be borrowed by the A company. So it's the one facilitate the loan between the two parties A and B. Okay? So in case of default by A to pay B, then there is an underwriting services, meaning that the merchant bank who facilitates the loan will guarantee the loan availed by A, that the loan can be paid by A to B. If in case of default, the merchant bank will be the one to pay B. Okay? And then also the portfolio management, they provide that. Okay, so what are the ways portfolio management? Meaning that's the various way of getting or be financed by your of your the financing of your business, the different uh, way of financing your business. They can provide that. And then of course the issue management. For example, in a company, there's an issue about the workers not receiving the proper benefits. That, for example, the SSS, they're not being member of the SSS. Of course, they will put that in order. Okay, okay. So that there will be a smooth business operation in their customers, because once there will be problem in the company, of course they will also be affected. Remember that the company borrowed money from them. If not borrowed money from them, they guarantee the payment. So it's just the same. Okay. So if you don't like the other thing that as I've said, the other special financing, if you wanted really to go into a business, okay, there is what we call a mutual fund. So if you have excessive money in the bank, you can engage in a mutual fund. Okay, what is this mutual fund? Mutual fund is the pool of funds collected for the purpose of investing in securities such as stocks, bonds, money market. It is operated by money managers. And when it is a mutual fund, it usually has these attractive yields, meaning higher interest income. They guarantee you a higher interest income. Okay. So, the mutual fund, okay, that is the normal, have you heard about this mutual fund? Is there somebody, anyone from you have been invited to join in a mutual fund? Okay. So because the mutual fund, as far as the interest or income, as far as the income is concerned, okay, there is a greater yield, mas greater income as compared to the money deposited or just there in the bank. Okay? Remember that the money in the bank only can give you a 3% per year. So that is your earning less the final tax. Okay, so you still have withholding tax. For the 3%, you still have that 3% interest income less withholding tax of 20%. So less than 3% guaranteed income for the year. So other people who has this excessive money, instead of depositing that money in the bank, they engage in a mutual fund. But mutual fund, okay, is really a dangerous or risky. Okay, so I have here class a sample of the scams that are famous in the Philippines. Okay, since we have this year 2007. Okay, that is in 2007 we have this franc Swiss scam in mutual fund. Okay. The investors have this 4.5% interest income on a minimum of $1,000. So if you have $1,000 in the bank, instead of putting that in the bank, okay, put that in the franc quiz at that time, 2007, and then you are guaranteed to have a 4.5%. So that 4.5% is, remember, $45 in a day. Diba? So big, okay? And imagine the franc Swiss were able to raise a 20 million US dollar just from March to July 2007. So meaning there are so many investors, okay, they have encouraged to be their member because, you know, the minimum is 1,000 and then they were able to collect 20 million US dollar. And the chief financial advisor is Eleazar Castillo. And remember, okay, this is, as I've said, this is a scam. And Eleazar Castillo was charged with syndicated estafa. Okay? Because it's not really true that your 1,000 US dollar can earn 45 pesos a day. Okay. Another scam, a well-known scam in the Philippines is the Legacy Group 2009. This Legacy Group 2009 started in Central Visayas, where there are 130,000 depositors who join this Legacy Group. And the owner of this Legacy Group is Celso de Los Angeles. Okay. This Legacy Group made the collapse of 12 rural banks in Central Visayas and other pre-need firms. Why? It means, class, not only individual who join this Legacy Group, there are also rural banks who join this Legacy Group because of the attractive income they offered and even the pre-need firms. What is the freebies on this Legacy Group? Okay, Legacy Group, okay, offered that double your money schemes in 3 to 5, 6 years. and promise of 20%. Remember, 20% per annum interest, while in the bank is only 3%. Okay, but your money in the bank is really in a safe condition. Okay, no risk. Okay, but here it's 20%. Okay, per annum interest. And how much is the financial mess that Celso de Los Angeles made? It's worth 30 billion pesos. 30 billion pesos for 130,000 depositors. So because of that, Celso de Los Angeles was charged with multiple syndicated estafa. Another well-known scandal was in 2012. This is what we call a pyramid scheme. Again, it was in Visayas again, where there are 15,000 people join this Aman Future 2012. Okay, Aman Future, okay? And there are the money involved, the total worth of mess is 12 billion pesos. It was founded by Manuel K. Amalillo. And the return is 80% return to investors within 20 days. Not in a year, not in a month, but in 20 days. Again, since it's too big to be true, too good to be true, of 80% return in 20 days, then Manuel Amalillo was charged with syndicated estafa. Again, in 2015, there's another scam. M-Golders. There is a selling investment without license. They buy and sell gold bars. And you invest your money in the amount of 1,000 and that can yield 10,000 pesos. For 1,000, 10,000. Your 1,000 investment will become 10,000. And if you have 35,000 investment, you can have the 180,000. And if you are now a member of that, so you are now already the investors, okay? So the investors must recruit at least 2 people. For example, Don Cabrera joined this M-Golds. So Don Cabrera will invite Michelle and Jesly, okay, to be also the member because she needs to recruit at least 2 people. And then SEC filed a cease and desist order against the firm because they are selling investment stocks without license. So the latest one that we know is the Kappa and Region. You know, that is the religious organization that was happened in 2015. Okay, that is the Kappa. Diba? We're able to watch that in a television, how this scandal was. And the founder is a Pastor Joel Apolinario. Okay, they call the money that you invested as a love gift. The donation that you put into the business, they call it as not investment, but a donation or love gifts or blessings. So with your 10,000, okay, it will be 36,000 in a year because they can guarantee you a 30% return per month. So attractive, right? And then the investors, some of the investors under CAPA, they invested money from 10,000 up to 2 million. Meaning some of the investors really invested money up to 2 million. There are members who put their money as high as these millions. Okay, and another one was the Region, also founded in Tagum City. Here in Region, okay, there is a 400% return on investment in 30 days. Okay, if you will be invited on that mutual fund, are you really join this organization? 400% return on investment. Okay, you have to think of that. Okay, so big players are usually in a foreign exchange, meaning that is the conversion of dollar money, of foreign money. Okay, they are engaged on that. Okay, the foreign exchange money, they will encourage you to join their company if you have dollar. Okay. So with my discussion class with the mutual fund scam, okay, we find it very dangerous to join, right? So you will be scared not to join in any mutual fund anymore because of the what we have learned. But okay, let's not let's not uh, let's not think of that mutual fund always in that scenario, because mutual fund in that there are still legal fund legal mutual fund existing in the Philippines. Okay, so I have here in my example the top 10 mutual funds in the Philippines, meaning they are legal. Okay, you can invest your money here. Okay, because they are really recognized by the Philippines. Okay, in the like for example, in SEC, they are recognized by SEC as a legitimate mutual fund. Okay. So here are my example, okay, class. We have in the top 10 mutual funds in the Philippines, okay, that is, we have up to April 2020, okay? So last April 2022. Class, please give attention on the gain, okay? The percentage of gain, okay? So as we can see here, like in Soldebo Bond Fund, okay? That is a mutual fund that can only give you 5.50% gain. In Philamban fund, you can only have 2.52%. The First Metro, you have 2.43%. The Ecclesia, 2%. Okay. Lower than 2%, we have 1.96. Under Phil Equity, Coco Life, 1.65. Philam Managed Income Fund, 1.57. Astram, 1.4. ALFN Peso Bond Fund 1.28, and Sun Life GS Fund is 1.26. So therefore, in our example, the Scamp Mutual Fund, okay, if you compare the legitimate gain that you can only get when you join the mutual funds, okay, there is really a big difference, right? Okay, this 5.5 compared to 80%, 20%. Okay, so if that is offered to you, okay, don't grab that opportunity. Okay, you use this gauge. Okay, if you have excessive money and you want to engage in a mutual fund, then you use this gauge that only this interest Okay? Siguro you make a ceiling up to 6%. That is legal. But more than that, you must be aware that you might be a victim of scam. Okay? So that is a mutual fund. Okay? The mutual fund, they will get members. Okay? They will get members. Okay? So the members will give their share, their investment, and then this money class will be invested into another business. Okay? For example, all of you, Michelle, Jesly, Dawn, Elda, okay, have money. And then you wanted to invest your money in a mutual fund. Okay? The money collected from each one of you, okay, like for example, you use this Soldibo, okay, the money collected by Soldibo from each one of you will be invested to another business. Okay? They will not just get your money to put there in this business and not to be used. Okay? The role of the manager in the mutual fund is to reinvest your money into another business. And that is the mutual fund law. Okay. So that's it. So if you want to join a mutual fund because it is the yield is higher than the bank, it's good, but make sure that you research that the mutual fund is really legitimate. And one of the checklists that you are going to do is the gain offered by the mutual fund.